What do you think? Pretty cool, right? I know. Hey, check this out. Pretty cool portal gun, right? This realistic Rick and Morty portal is exactly what we are going to be creating in this tutorial. So let's get started. And if you want to work with the same files as me, you can download that for free by clicking the link in the description below. Alright, so here I am in Adobe After Effects, and this is the footage that we will be working with. So as you can see, I'm here standing to the side, and I also used a practical light to illuminate my room for the portal effect. So in the end, I actually plugged out that light after I did my entire act, and then I walked out of the shot, giving me this clean plate without light. And I can use that to kind of dim it down or dim it up. It's not going to make it easier, the process, but you're going to see a few cool tricks to make it work. My goal here is to make this a perfect loop where I keep coming out of that portal. So what is going to be really important here is rotoscoping. I'm going to rotoscope myself out of this entire clip that's just until here. So whenever I'm not in the shot anymore, I can trim my clip. Bring this down. I actually don't need the rest anymore, except for that clean plate here. So we can right click and freeze that frame on this exact spot. I'm going back to the beginning of my clip, or if you want, you can also go like somewhere right here. So I'm a little bit better visible. And as you can see, I also have some motion blurs. So all of these things make it a little bit harder. But what I love about Adobe After Effects is the Roto Brush 3.0. It's so powerful and yeah, it's so great actually. It works wonders. So I'm going to duplicate my footage before I get started. So that's using Control and pressing D. Then double click on that layer, which is going to open it up right here. Then I'm going to make my windows a little bit bigger so I can concentrate perfectly on myself here. Then I'm going to start drawing a silhouette of myself and try to capture everything of me in there. And this is going to take a little while, but once you've done that, the entire effect is not that much work. Hold Alt to remove parts, for example, in between the legs, and try to do this as perfect as possible. We can also use motion blur, which is going to calculate the motion blur rotoscope. And now what I want to do is just play it forward and check if everything just fits. I have mentioned often that I use Artlist.io in my previous videos, and that is for their music and sound effects. That's why I was very happy when they reached out to do a collaboration on this video. They have asked me to show their new LUTs. LUTs are like magic filters for your videos. Take our Rick and Morty shot, for example. I had my original video and then I went to Artlist.io. I found that Chaos was a perfect fit for the vibe I was going for with Rick and Morty. You can simply download this LUT and then in Adobe After Effects or in Adobe Premiere Pro or whatever video editing software you are using, you can apply that LUT. So if you want high quality music, sound effects and LUTs, certainly check out Artlist.io. Also, Artlist has a holiday sale right now. This is the best time to get your hands on an Artlist subscription with 2 free months and a 10% discount on the Max plan. If you have been following them, you know they only do a discount like this once a year. I use them almost daily for my projects. Back to the video. Once you have checked all your clip, what you can now do is, as you can see, your roto around the hair is a little bit rough. And as you can see, I have a little bit of holes in my hair, so I want to fix that as well. I'm going to use the Refine brush tool here, and then go to my brush settings right here. If it doesn't work, you can just simply switch between this, and then it will enable itself. Sometimes it is just grayed out. And there we go. Make our diameter a little bit bigger so we can cover this part. And then I'm just going to paint over my hair. If you want, you can go through it another time just to make everything sure. But in this case, as it's a tutorial, and I think it's going to give me great results, I'm just going to freeze this straight away. So the better your roto is going to be, the better you're going to get to this result. Usually your roto is a lot faster once it's frozen, but in my opinion it's still way too slow. So what I like to do is then render it out with its transparent background. All I do is going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to fix a few of these mistakes. For example, add a little bit more feather to my mask, And for example, when I see the green here, what I also like to do is then just add the key light and pick a green color and maybe make that color a little bit more intense so it only looks at the green, and this looks fine. So I do see a few mistakes like here, which I actually fixed in the final. But yeah, as I said, if you go through your roto and really pay attention to all of the frames, you can fix those as well. All overall, this roto is pretty nice, and I think it's going to give me the right result for what I need. So I'm going to render this out once it's soloed. I'm going to trim my comp until here by pressing N on the keyboard to create the N marker. And then I'm going composition, add to the render queue. I'm going to render this out high quality with alpha. If you click on this, you will see that I'm using a QuickTime format with the Apple ProRes format option, and the Apple ProRes has to be 4444. This is actually one of the best formats to work with in the industry. You can choose channels RGB plus alpha. Then you render it out with an alpha layer, and it's going to make it so much nicer to work with afterwards. So once you're done rendering, just re-import the alpha. And what I like to do is, I don't like to delete things that I used in my sequence. So what I usually do is select all of the effects, disable them, and then also disable the layer. But to hide it from my sequence here, I will just press this icon right here and then press it also right here. And I will just make it invisible. So now we can just focus on our original footage and then drag this in here. So now we have our roto done. Perfect. Next, I want to create a new composition where I'm going to create my portal. So I'm going to name this portal and then click OK. Then right click, new, and create a solid layer, portal. Okay. Then go right here to the mask options and choose the ellipse tool. I'm going to make a portal ellipse just like so. And then I will duplicate it and then solo this. Press M on the keyboard to reveal the mask options, and then duplicate that mask, Control D, and then right click, subtract it. So we have one add and one subtract. We can fold it open. And we can play with the mask expansion. So maybe expand it a little bit here, add a little bit of feather there, and a lot more feather in the interior, for example, something like this. And like this, we create the outer edge. And this I'm going to layer, solid settings, and turn it white. Okay. Unsolo this, and then we can concentrate on the inner portal. And right here, I'm going to apply the effect fractal noise. So go to effects and presets, search for fractal noise, and apply that to this solid layer. Then I'm going to change this to dynamic progressive, and I'm also going to hold Alt and click on the stopwatch, time times 250. And then I will also search for the effect twirl. Apply the twirl effect to this layer, and I'm just going to twirl it, just like this. We can also increase the radius a little bit. And if you see something like this, what we can do is just Control X to cut this effect, and just create another solid, which is going to be the entire size of our composition, and then paste this effect on there. If it still extends, we can simply go for the motion tile effect and apply that right here. Also make sure that you copy the fractal noise to this, so Control X and go to the white solid here and paste it. And so we have the fractal noise, then the twirl, and then the motion tile, and we can click on mirror the edges, just increase the width to something like 120 and the height to 120, and place it actually all the way on top. So we create something like this. Now we can press F4 on the keyboard until you see the track matte options and just track matte it to the portal. So now it's just masked through the portal, and now you can play with this twirl to make it look as perfect as you want. Then we can go into the transform options for the fractal noise and play with the offset here and see how it is moving. So this is not a good move, this is not a good move. So then we can try to go up and down. Down looks pretty nice, so I will just go and add some animation. Click on the stopwatch for the offset turbulence and then just push it down a little bit. Not too much. And then we get some animation in our portal. Then I'm going to duplicate my fractal noise, so Control D when it's highlighted. And then I'm just going to force the contrast up and then go into the transform. Also allow HDR results. I'm going to set to clip. I'm going to scale it down like so. And then take the brightness down just so I have a few white dots. That makes, oh, I'm affecting the wrong one here. Right here, bring this down. And so I have a few white dots. This resembles a lot to the Rick and Morty portal. There we go. And then change the blending mode to screen. So we have some white dots in our portal. And so now we have something that looks like this, which looks perfect. So then we go back to our original footage and I'm going to the project and import this portal. Change the portal to a 3D layer and then we can offset it just like this and then place it right here. I'm not sure why everything turns transparent, but anyway, we need to pre-compose this once we are done. So I'm going to hold Control and Shift and then press C on the keyboard, which allows me to pre-comp this, move all the attributes, and this is going to be my portal comp. And there we go. And so now we have our portal in our scene. We can reposition it a little bit more, or if you want to, you can jump in here and readjust it a little bit more. After that, I want to give my portal a color, and for this I like to use a free plugin from Video Copilot. I will put a link in the description called VC Color Vibrance, and if you apply that you will get your nice green color, just like the Rick and Morty portal. Yeah. I'm also going to jump into the portal and just check my edges a little bit because I see some mistakes. I'm going into the mask here, open up the options a little bit more, and then decrease the inner circle a little bit. Go back to your footage, and now we get something nice looking like this. This looks great. If you still want to add a little bit more adjustments, we can go to the portal right here and also apply a fractal noise to this edge here. And that's just going to add a little bit of imperfections. Of course, I want to brighten this up a lot more. So we get something like this, and then hold Alt, click on the stopwatch and write a simple expression called time times maybe 150, a little bit slower than the inside. Go back to your final footage and now you see a little bit more detail. If this is still not okay, go back in here, play with the transform and the scale maybe, and also with the contrast. And I just want like a soft detail in there, maybe increase the complexity a little bit and also change it to a dynamic progressive, and just keep on checking until you see something that you like. So we have our portal, and I'm going to place this behind my roto just so we can see that I'm actually passing through it. Now we need to hide myself when I'm inside of the portal. So I'm going to create a new solid, and this is going to be my mask. For the mask, I'm going to create a simple ellipse here, just like this. Press M on the keyboard and click on the mask path, and then move forward until I jump through, and click on this mask, click on this point, and then bring it in a little bit, go a little bit further, maybe bring it in even more, and there we go. So then I'm going to click on my footage here of the Alpha Roto, toggle the switches and use the track matte to this mask, and then invert this. So now we should see that I'm not there, and I jump through the portal. So of course you can play with how this is going to affect it. Maybe you want to go into the mask a little bit more. And I'm also going to change the color to a magenta so I can literally see my mask a little bit better. There we go. And we can now play a little bit more with this mask. Of course, we also want to press F on the keyboard for this mask and also feather it. So it seems like we're actually passing through like this. And then next I want to go to my portal comp. And I want to apply an effect called Liquify. For the Liquify, I just like to use this with the smudge tool right here. And I'm going to smudge my portal wherever I come out. And that way we react a little bit more to this portal. Then I'm going to click on the stopwatch for the percentage, press U on the keyboard to reveal that keyframe, move it a little bit further into time, and then set it to 0 on this time. Move this one a little bit back and then further into time, set it back to 0. And we are just going to select all of these keyframes and press F9. Then go into the graph editor and just, well, zoom in a little bit. We're just going to bring these in a little bit. just so we get a smooth animation from the warping. I'm also going to set my resolution to 3rd for now, so we can preview quickly. And so now the portal reacts to us. Next, I'm going to click on my portal comp once more and add a turbulence displacement effect. I'm going to apply that to this layer and maybe set the complexity to something like 3 and go for an amount of 25 and maybe the size of 50 or maybe 70. And then hold Alt, click on the stopwatch, time times 250. So now we get some displacement and it's going to look a little bit more integrated to our scene. Next, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and this is going to be my displacement map. Then I'm going to create a new solid layer, and this is going to be my displacement texture. For this displacement texture, I'm going to create another mask a little bit bigger than my portal, just like this, and place it over that. Press F on the keyboard and increase the feather for this. And then I'm going to search for the fractal noise once more. Apply the fractal noise to this solid layer and then play with the transform to make it a little bit bigger. Again, go for a dynamic progressive. Alt click on the stopwatch for the evolution, time times 250. And so we get some animation in this map. Then I'm also going to create a new solid layer. Instead of white, we now want it to be perfect 50% black. So I'm just going to enter the amount of 50%, which is going to put it right here in the center. Click OK, click OK. Then bring this below this texture. So now we have a gray texture and our displacement texture. Select both of these and go for a layer, pre-compose, and this is going to be my displacement texture. Then go to the adjustment layer that we just created, and right here I'm going to apply the displacement map effect. Apply this to this adjustment layer, and for the layer to map from, I'm going to choose this texture that we just created. We can also disable it so we don't see it, and then we can increase the amount to something like 25 and 25. That's just going to create some heat distortion around the portal and interact it a little bit better with our environment. So this looks great, and like somewhere around here, I want my portal to close. So I'm going to my first portal, or actually to this comp right here, to the portal comp, press S on the keyboard, click on the stopwatch for the scale, hold shift and press page down to move 10 frames further into time and set the scale to 0. Right click on the first keyframe and go to keyframe assistance, easy ease, and then go into the graph editor and zoom in a little bit and make this ramp a little bit better. Make sure that you're working with the speed graph instead of the value graph. Exit the graph right here. And now if we go back to our footage, it's going to be closed. So then we move further into time. I act like I'm pushing myself out of the frame. And then I turn around and I shoot the portal gun. So on shooting the portal gun, what I used is actually a flare. You can use the internal lens flare from After Effects, but honestly, I don't like it. So I'm going to be using a plugin for this one. You can do workarounds where you just create a little sphere, which is white, and then feather it. But yeah, I'm going to be working with optical flares because it's a really great plugin. So we have this little flare here. And I'm just going to change the blending mode to screen and place it here at the beginning of my gun. So right here I will shoot. So I'm going to increase the scale to something like 300 at the beginning. Click on the stopwatch, go 1 frame back with the page up key and then set it to 0. So we shoot. And I'm also going to create a keyframe right here at the beginning for the position. Then move further into space or in time, like right here. Place it right here and maybe change the scale to something like 10. And then 1 keyframe further, I'm going to change it again to 100. And 1 keyframe further to 0. So that's calling the impact flare. And so right here, I'm going into my portal comp once more. Find the exact timing. So usually the time curve or the time indicator is going to follow the actual time when you enter the comp. So I'm going to create a keyframe right here and then go 10 frames further into time and set it back to 100. This time I'm going to also right click on this keyframe and easy ease, go into the graph editor and drag this out a little bit. Close the graph editor and go back to your final comp, and now we opened the portal. So now the idea is that the exact same thing happens as before. So we exit the portal, we get close to the camera. And so right here, I need to push myself away. To do that, I'm just going to copy the alpha roto, bring it all the way on top, set it to no mask, and go to the moment where I push myself. Try to match the timing well. Okay, so this kind of matches up. And so right here at the beginning, I'm going to hold Ctrl-Shift-D to split this layer, and then take this part and move it further into space. So now I have myself here. We push ourselves out and we do the explanation again. We shoot our portal and we need to match this part here to where we exit. So the portal opens, and so now we need that mask that we come out here. So then click on your roto and your mask and just bring this over like right here. Make sure that your portal is actually growing in time here. We can delete this part for now. So just make sure that with the mask here, I come out, that we actually remove this mask entirely from our scene because I get closer to the camera and we don't need it anymore. So right here, I come closer to the camera. I act like I push myself. And so this timing has to match up. So where do I react to it? Right here. Take this roto with the mask and just offset it a little bit later. And also I'm going to duplicate my roto here. And trim it the other way around. So basically we want this point to be the end so that this one can be the beginning. And just match up the timing here. There we go. So it's a little bit searching. And we actually can cut it right here and delete this part. So I shoot it right here and I'm actually going to offset my flare. Press U on the keyboard and just bring it a little bit closer. So right here I shoot. And then I need the portal to open somewhere around here. So go into portal comp and offset these keyframes. And so we have this part here where I'm actually in the background. We moved these two parts to the end. I'm going to bring them over wherever I get out and actually match this timing here. So that's around right here. Make sure that that's perfect. And we can bring this below our auto roto, so it actually seems like I'm actually pushing. And we want to make sure that I exit that portal. Okay, so you can see me exiting the portal. Perfect. Coming closer, pushing myself away. And then normally now everything should be a perfect loop. And so all we need to do now is whenever the portal closes here, we need to bring our frozen frame that we created in the beginning of this right here. And then press T on the keyboard, set it to 0 opacity, click on the stopwatch. And when the portal is gone, set it to 100. And then right here, I'm going to shoot and open the portal. And when it's entirely big, I'm going to set it to 0%. So now we have the correct reflections. The portal actually is illuminating my room, and that's really going to make it look integrated perfectly. Then I'm also going to click on the portal comp and press T on the keyboard, just lower the opacity a little bit to integrate it a little bit better. And then on the moment that I shoot with this flare, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. And this is going to be my light for the shooting. I'm going to apply a tint and an exposure effect. I'm going to set the exposure to something like 2 and the color to a nice green color like this. and then click on the stopwatch for exposure and for the amount to tint, and go 1 frame back, set it to 0 and 0. And so like this, we get a little bit of an impact on our scene. I'm going to place this all the way on top so everything becomes that color. And maybe use different colors here. Something like this. And then immediately change it back to like 50% tint. And right here, I'm going to set it to almost 0 and 0. 1 frame further, again 50, maybe 1. 1 frame further, or 2, 3, okay, right here, 0 and 0. So it's a little bit of an animation, but that way it's like our flare also interacts with our environment, and that's going to give it a little bit more punch. Cool, right? And then lastly, when the portal opens here, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer, and this is going to be my shake. Right here, I'm going to use the Film Bro shake, which you can download with a link in the description below. So that's the quick shake preset, double click on that, or actually make sure that you have your adjustment layer selected, double click that, press U on the keyboard, and then zoom in and move this over just 1 frame. We can see that it's not perfectly centered, so all we have to do is go to tile center, reset, anchor point, reset, and that should fix that problem. And so now we have a little bit of shake going on. Uncheck the use composition shutter angle and set it to 180 so we get some motion blur in our shake as well. And then lastly, we are going to create another adjustment layer, which is going to be our glow, which is going to integrate our portal even more. And right here under Film Bro Perfect Glow, which you can also download in the description below, double click that and then play with the glow settings here. I'm also just going to mask this glow here, so we don't have too much on the wall. Press F and feather this a little bit. And so to top everything off, just like we discussed before, I'm going to use a new adjustment layer and apply the lumetri color. Then go to Artlist to download my LUT, and I'm just going to apply the lumetri color right here. Go into the Creative tab and search for that exact LUT. So as you can see, I downloaded a few LUTs. I really like the Chaos one, so I'm going to open it up, and you can immediately see it changes the entire dynamic of my result. Really cool. What do you think? Pretty cool, right? I know. Hey, check this out. Pretty cool portal gun, right? Alright, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. Hit the notification bell to stay notified when I upload new videos. And apart from that, I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, create epic videos.